The U.S. has announced a new round of sanctions against several entities and individuals from the UAE, Turkey, and China for allegedly providing support to Russia's defense sector, which Washington accuses of fueling the conflict in Ukraine. U.S. also imposed sanctions on Russian officials and companies over their involvement in the ongoing war in eastern Ukraine. U.S. claims that Russia has been providing military, financial, and political support to the separatists, as well as deploying thousands of troops and weapons near the Ukrainian border. The new measures aim to cut off Russia's supply chain and cripple its military capabilities, especially its use of Lancet drones, which have been a major threat to Ukrainian forces and civilians. The sanctions target some 130 entities, including companies and individuals, in China, Turkey, and the United Arab Emirates, for allegedly providing Russia with dual-use goods, such as vehicle parts, encryption software, and drone technology, that can be used for both civilian and military purposes. The U.S. accuses these entities of helping Russia evade international sanctions and export controls by exploiting legitimate economic relationships with these countries. The accused and sanctioned entities include UAE and Turkish-based companies, Chinese individuals, and entities that allegedly helped the Russian military with technical systems, maintenance services, and transfer of sensitive technology and materials to Russia's defense industry. Sanctioned entities also include Russian defense firms and companies that have been involved in the development and production of weapons and equipment, as well as operating in Crimea or providing support to the separatist regions as well. These sanctions are likely to affect the economic and security interests of the UAE, Turkey, and China, which have been developing close ties with Russia in recent years. UAE, Turkey, and China have been seeking to diversify their sources of military equipment and technology, as well as to expand their regional influence and cooperation with Russia on various issues. U.S. sanctions could damage their trade and investment relations with both Russia and the U.S. China is a major economic rival and strategic competitor of the U.S., as well as a key ally of Russia. China has been accused by the West of violating human rights, undermining democracy, and engaging in unfair trade practices. China has also been expanding its influence and presence in Asia, Africa, Europe, and Latin America. China may view the new sanctions as an attempt by the U.S. to contain its rise and interfere in its affairs. China may also retaliate against the U.S. or increase its cooperation with Russia. While Turkey is a NATO ally of the U.S. but also a complex and sometimes problematic partner, Turkey has also pursued an independent foreign policy that has often clashed with that of the U.S. Turkey has bought Russian-made S-400 missile systems despite U.S. objections. Turkey has also intervened militarily in Syria, Libya, Iraq, and Azerbaijan. Turkey may see the new sanctions as an infringement on its sovereignty and a violation of its right to trade with whoever it wants. The U.S. sanctions are also likely to affect the prospects for a peaceful resolution of the Ukraine conflict. However, Russia has denounced the sanctions as illegal, provocative, and counterproductive, and undertook to retaliate with reciprocal measures. Russia has accused the U.S. of interfering in Ukraine's internal affairs, escalating the tensions in the region, and pursuing a hostile agenda against Russia. The U.S. sanctions are unlikely to change Russia's conduct towards Ukraine, unless they are accompanied by a credible diplomatic effort that addresses Russia's security concerns and offers incentives for cooperation. U.S. should also coordinate its sanctions policy with its European allies, who have imposed their own sanctions on Russia over Ukraine, but have also maintained dialogue and engagement with Moscow on various issues. The new sanctions are a clear signal of the U.S. commitment to stand by Ukraine and confront Russia. However, they also pose challenges for U.S.'s relationship and balance of power with China, Turkey, and the UAE. The U.S. will need to engage diplomatically with these countries to explain its rationale for the sanctions and address their concerns. The U.S. will also need to find ways to cooperate with these countries on areas of mutual interest while managing areas of disagreement. The U.S. will also need to monitor the impact of the sanctions on Russia's behavior and readiness to negotiate a peaceful resolution of the conflict in Ukraine. Let me know your thoughts on this and be sure to subscribe. I would appreciate it.